welcome to my channel. My name is Sharon, and this is a channel that is dedicated to all things related to narcissism. I make videos every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday on all types of topics related to narcissism. So if you haven't already, please take a moment to subscribe to the channel so you don't miss any videos. I would really appreciate it if you gave the video a thumbs up. It's a free way you can help me out. And definitely don't forget to leave a comment because I like to read what you have to say. So let me ask you a question. If you were standing on the side of the road and a truck was barreling at you full speed, what would you do? Would you stand there and let it hit you? Would you jump out of the way? Or would you jump out of the way without even having to think about it? Now let's talk about that in terms of narcissistic abuse. Do you let narcissistic abuse hit you full force? Do you jump out of the way? Or do you instinctively move out of the way? Your answer to that is going to tell you a lot about where you are in terms of recovery from narcissistic abuse. In today's video, we're going to talk about recovering from narcissistic abuse. We're going to talk about rebuilding from narcissistic abuse. Now, I know that there are people listening right now, and maybe you're yelling at me. I can't. It's not going to happen. Too much has happened. My life is over. They've destroyed me. No, they haven't. It all has to do with your mindset. You control what happens. This is not some psychobabble. This is the truth. This is how you will be healed. I mean, this is how it is. If you have the right mindset, you can accomplish anything. Joe and I have had very different recoveries, and the same thing worked for both of us. Now, for whatever reason, my recovery has been much easier than Joe's. But I'm familiar with a bad recovery because I've seen how difficult it's been for him. When I tell you that he has suffered, he has suffered. It's been horrible, and I've seen it. I've seen him in a bad place, so much that it scared me. You know, so many times people will leave such nice comments under the videos or send me an email and tell me how lucky I am to have Joe. They want a Joe. They can't wait till they meet their Joe. Now, I agree with that, but when Joe sees those, he feels very differently, and he always tells me, oh, they have no idea. They have no idea what it's like to really live with me. They have no idea what you go through. He says that because his recovery has been very difficult. Now, it's so much better now, but it was difficult. There were times it was really bad. There was one time in particular, I can remember he was sitting there. He was sitting on the couch, and the pain was radiating off of him. And I walked past him, and then I saw his son, and I could see the look on his son's face. It was horror. He had horror. It was exactly how I felt. I recognized it immediately. It's a helpless feeling watching somebody that you love suffer. So remember, when we are suffering, when we are feeling our worst pain, it's not self-contained. Other people can feel it too. It radiates off us. It's palpable. Just like that when you're feeling joy or happiness. Have you ever been somewhere and somebody walks in the room and they really do light up the room? You can feel their presence, their lightness, their happiness. It's like that both ways. Everything that we feel, our family, our loved ones feel it too. We owe ourselves better than this. We owe our loved ones better than this. All of us. Change your mindset, you change your life. And it was always different for me. Initially, things, though, were really bad. I had that feeling. I experienced the feeling of fear, of thinking something bad was going to happen. When my ex and I first split up, we split up as typical with a narcissistic, situation on bad terms. My ex tried to get me arrested. He had hurt himself. He accused me of beating him up, and CPS got involved. He was doing everything in his power to get me arrested. If there was not a gigantic size difference between my ex and myself, I would have been. So it's absolutely crucial to know you are in danger when you're with a narcissist. So many times, I'll do videos and people will say, oh, that happened to me. The same thing always happens. Narcissists are all the same. Yes, they really are. And one thing that they do is they all go by the same playbook. They will get you arrested if they can. I can't even tell you how many people have told me this has happened to them. So if you are with a narcissist, you need to be very careful. You are in danger. They will do anything to hurt you if they feel like it. Now, this day, my ex was mad at me. He felt like getting me arrested. He went through with this all the way, and even having his children interviewed by CPS. He could have stopped it at any time. He didn't. This is not just my narcissist, not my ex. This is all of our exes. all of our narcissists. So this is like a little side thing. Please be very careful and cautious if you're still with the narcissist. So my ex tried to get me arrested. It didn't work. It triggered a CPS investigation. I kicked him out of the house. A week later, I found out that we had no money. He paid no bills. I wasn't working. I was a stay-at-home mom. I didn't know what I was going to do. I was afraid. I also had no friends at this point, and I never did have a supportive family. I was alone. I had 2 kids, a house full of animals. Christmas was coming up. I didn't have a dollar to my name. I didn't know what I was going to do. But one difference, when I think back to it now, I thought to myself at the time, what am I going to do? How am I going to do this? How am I going to get myself and my kids out of this bad situation? It wasn't, I can't do it. I'm not going to be able to do it. I never had that attitude. It was always, what am I going to do? How am I going to do this? That, I really think, changed everything for me. Right from the beginning, that was the mindset that I had. Now, it was a bad time and I was afraid. There was a couple of days I really thought I actually might have a heart attack and die. And I didn't know what to do because I thought to myself, well, I don't want to go. If I go to the hospital, I contemplated going to the hospital because I didn't want my kids to find me dead. So I'm like, well, should I go to the hospital? If I'm really that close to death, I really should go to the hospital. I'd rather go to the hospital. But I knew going to the hospital would mean that my ex would be back into the house. He'd be taking care of the kids. So, there was like that fear. I didn't know what to do. Plus all that stress. I didn't want everyone to know how stressed out I was. So I said, because I was worried about CPS too. Are they going to think I'm unfit to take care of my children because I'm having a heart attack? I mean, all these things that are going through my mind. Then I thought, all right, I'm going to tell the kids, because I really thought there was this fear. I was afraid to sleep too. I was afraid if I slept that I wouldn't wake up. So I'm telling my kids, I'm trying to tell them as calmly as possible. Oh, by the way, if something ever happened to me, I was telling them to call their friends' parents. This is who you can call, haha, like it was like nothing. I was terrified at the time. But I ended up not having the heart attack. Everything was okay. And that's important to remember. So many times we get afraid of things and it ends up being okay. And it can be like that with this too. All of us can be bad. Can have a bad time. But by January, so this happened in December, by January, I was living as a single mother. And the kids and I were doing okay. And I remember this one day, though, I had taken the kids on a day trip to Maine. We were in Kennebunkport at the beach. Yeah, we went to the beach in January. They had these cool rocks there. We were looking around there. And CPS called. So here I am with my kids, and all of a sudden I'm smiling, I'm happy, the phone rings, and it's CPS. That immediately put a damper on the mood. Now, the reason that the woman had called, because she was always on my side. They always believed me, but they did still do a full investigation, including I had to have people interviewed, everything. They came to my house, they were looking through my refrigerator, interviewed my kids. It was not a good time, it was horrible. But she called to make sure that my ex hadn't moved back into the house. And that's something, the way that people think about us. Have you ever seen somebody or heard about somebody that are killed by their abuser? And you hear these stories. So here's we'll just say, typically it's a woman and she's with an abusive man and he beats her up, she leaves, she comes back, she leaves, she comes back, she leaves, she comes back. So this happens 5 or 6 times and then all of a sudden she's killed. And other people like us are like, oh my gosh, how could she be so stupid? Why would she go back to him? That's what people think of us. This is why the CPS lady called. She assumed that there was a chance that I was letting the person who wanted me arrested back into my home, somebody that I told her was an abuser, that he's back in the home. So she called to see if he was back in the house. And I can remember the horror when that number came up on my phone. And, there I was, one moment laughing. The next moment, I was not enjoying the day at all. The day was ruined. I decided, though, right then and there that I was going to live. My life wasn't over. Neither is yours. I was pissed off at my ex. How dare he? I managed to pull myself together and not let the kids know that the CPS lady had called. But for the rest of the day, it was on my mind. It was a horrible feeling to feel out of control, like somebody else gets to decide if you can be happy or not. But that is not the truth. Only you decide. And it's really get that through your mind. You control your fate. There's been several times when Joe was having a really bad day and I would tell him that I wanted to help him. What can I do? He knew I would have done anything for him. But his reply was always, you can't do anything. No one can. I have to do it. He was right. I could hold him and kiss him and tell him I love him. I could go for a drive with him, get him something to eat, listen to him. I could do 100 things. But just like that day in Maine, or you, or wherever you are, the only one you can make a difference in our own lives is ourselves. Only you can make your life better. Like I said, between Joe and I, our recoveries have run the gamut, but the same thing worked. It begins and ends with your mindset. Mindset is everything. You will either thrive or die with your mindset. I'm so impressed when I hear about people who have had something horrible happen and then somehow they managed to thrive, like Holocaust survivors who thrived after the war, rape victims, or the Parker family from Sandy Hook Elementary School. Their 6-year-old daughter was killed and they forgave the killer. Imagine if you were given 6 months to live. 8 months ago, what would you be thinking now? My doctor is stupid, it's going to be any day now, or what a blessing. I hope I have as much time as possible. Anyone who has cancer knows that dream, that wish that you will make it longer than the time frame you're given. Joe and one of our dogs has cancer, and today he survived 11 months longer than expected. Joe, me, and the kids celebrate that. Joe said to me one time when the dog was diagnosed, "We don't know how long any of us have. Don't be sad. He's alive. He's here. No one really knows anything." And he was right. That dog is just a few feet away from me right now while I make this video. Life is what we make of it. Have you ever heard someone say, I think I said this earlier in the video, that if you believe you can or you believe you can't, you're right? Take that to heart. It's very true. Ultimately, we will decide whether we make it or not. There are people who are really good at fixing things. My son, for example, has an ability to fix, it seems like, anything. He's our go-to man for just about all problems. So recently, Joe and I cleaned out the refrigerator, and getting the freezer drawer in was a nightmare. Joe is getting more and more frustrated, and in horror, I watched him begin to try to force it in. We were seconds away from needing to replace a destroyed refrigerator, and I called my son downstairs. In 2 seconds, he had that drawer easily sliding in. The difference was that my son knew how the refrigerator worked, just like he knows how my phone works, so he does everything I need done for me. I'm helplessly pushing buttons. When you know how something works, you can fix something that goes wrong. The human mind is hardwired for recovery. Know that and work with it. Don't try to force things to be a certain way like Joe with the freezer drawer. Work with how the brain really works. Our minds are incredibly susceptible to suggestion. What are you feeding your mind? If you eat candy and McDonald's every day, and I eat fruits and vegetables and drink plenty of water, who do you think is going to be healthier? What are you feeding your mind? I'll never get over this. My life is over. How could this happen? Or, of course I'll get through this. My life is just beginning. Thank God I'm free. Be intentional about what you tell yourself. What I do is I've decided, all right, what type of person do I want to be? I feel like God told me what type of person he wanted me to be. I want to be loving and kind and generous. I want my family to know that they're my number one. At work, when I meet people, I want them to see someone who treats God's other children well. I want to be a good example of a Christian. So I tell myself often who I am. I do this. I'm a good person. I'm a loving person. I'm a generous person. I know it sounds ridiculous, but I'm intentionally feeding my mind. Joe works from home and I homeschool my kids. So when I get home from school, everyone's usually there. When I come in, it doesn't matter what type of day I have. It's always the same thing. I greet everybody happily. Usually 2 of the 3 dogs are at my feet wanting treats. Hey guys, how you doing? Oh, hi everybody. Hi Joe, how you doing, honey? There's the cat. I don't know if you could hear him. He wants me to say that he gets treats too. But I greet everybody. Hi you guys, how you doing? I do that because I want them to know I love them. I'm intentional about showing my affection. It's not fake, it's how I am. I don't get home, I don't kick off my shoes and start complaining. I would never do that. I want a happy home, a loving home, and I do my part. If you want a happy mind, a peaceful heart, do your part. Act how the person you want to be would act. It works. Tell yourself you don't have to live, you get to live. Make a list of what you want or need to accomplish things. Write it down and go over it every day if you have to. Let some things go. Start working on things that you can. It will make you feel better. Now, recently, Joe and I have been fixing up the outside of the house. It didn't look horrible before, but it wasn't that special. Together, we bought flowers and a few trees. We got rid of weeds, planted everything. Joe got on a ladder and hand washed every window. He scrubbed the siding. You guys, the yard looks so good. I went to the dollar store and bought some solar lights. We go for daily walks and have been enjoying coming home and seeing what we've done. We don't let the narcissist bring us down. Both of us actually have court dates coming up. It's on either side of my son's birthday. My son's birthday is June 7th. I have a court date the 6th. Joe has one on the 8th. And both of us were going at it with a good mindset. All right, like I know for me, I'm not even going to look at my ex. It's on a Zoom meeting. I'm going to just not even look at him. I'm going to just get through it because I believe that God is with me. Joe believes God is with him. We have a different attitude. Things are so good right now, and it all has to do with our mindset. We are focused and intentional on moving forward. Nobody can affect us unless we let them. If you have that mindset, I can tell you, I can guarantee you things will get better. It might not happen immediately, but if you consistently feed your mind a positive attitude, it will get better. You know, one thing I want to say too, one thing I've also learned for those of you that believe in God, I have learned the hard way. And unfortunately, I've learned this the hard way. If God has something planned for you, He's going to do it no matter what you do. And if you don't go along with what God wants, He will make you do it. And when He makes you do something, not that He doesn't do it kindly, He does it. He gives you so many chances, but He'll let you feel the brunt of the pain if you don't do things His way. So just remember that. So everybody, have a wonderful weekend. Joe should be back with me this weekend. He's probably working actually this weekend, but he will be with me at least to choose the prize. So if you want to be entered into our giveaway, please let me know in the comments. There's only about 20 people who entered. So for those of you that entered, you do have good odds, but I hope more people enter. I hope everyone has a great day, and I will see you all on Monday. Bye.